2000年の歴史を刻み受け継がれてきた恐るべき暗殺剣があった。その名を北斗神拳。天空に連なる7つの星のもと、一子相伝の北斗神拳をめぐって悲劇は繰り返される。
Anime is a vast and varied medium, and if you're not already familiar, it can be daunting to find something you might be interested in watching. This is a podcast where three average anime enjoyers introduce their uninitiated co-host to their favorite anime touchstones, so he can join them deep in the Weebs. This week we watched Fist of the North Star, known in Japan as Hokuto no Ken. Fist of the North Star is a manga series written by Borenson and illustrated by Tetsuo Hara. It was published in Weekly Shonen Jump from 1983 to 1988. It was adapted into two anime television series produced by Toei Animation, which aired from 1984 through 1988, comprising a combined 152 episodes. It has since spawned a media franchise, including films, OVAs, novels, video games, a stage musical, and pachinko machines. The manga has sold over 100 million copies, making it one of the best-selling manga series of all time. The series is also considered one of the most influential manga series of all time. Set on a post-apocalyptic Earth after a nuclear war, the story centers on a warrior named Kenshiro, the successor of a deadly martial art known as Hokuto Shinken, which gives him the ability to kill his opponents by striking their vital points, often resulting in a violent and gory death. Kenshiro dedicates his life to fighting against the various gangs, bandits, and warlords who threaten the lives of the defenseless and innocent, as well as rival martial artists. We watched 4 episodes. Episodes 1, 25, 44, and 47 of 152, as previously stated.
Do y'all need me to explain my selection process again?
Nope.
Okay.
Tell us about the One Punch Man.
Okay, so his name's Saitama. He's bald. He ran 100 kilometers every day and did 100 push-ups, and he worked so hard that he went bald. And he's the character design is based on a pun of Anpan Man, who is a bread mascot.
Fair. Because I figure we can't call this One Fist Man.
I mean, he has 2 fists.
He does have 2.
Exactly.
I them multiple times.
And I mean, also, like, his signature move is the Okuto Hyakuretsuken, which is the 100 crack fists. So even then, it's like 100.
I thought his signature move was the thing I'll bring up later after we get through the description of episode 1. And I know at least 2 of you know exactly what I'm referring to.
Alright, so let's jump into episode 1. God or Devil, the Mightiest Man appears in Hell. This show has great episode titles.
Just like with Shin versus Neo, we have this pattern of every episode has two titles.
It's to draw you in.
Uh-huh.
Well, I know that DBZ had that, but when it came to localization, they did away with that. But when Dragon Ball Super came out, they absolutely introduced this. So I know Bob is at least tangentially familiar with the double title styling.
It's just 2 sentences. It's a start with 2 sentences.
It's like a joke. It's a setup and a punchline, but they're unrelated,
Mm-hmm.
so it's a non sequitur.
A one punchline? Thank you.
All right, walk us through the episode.
All right, so
I hear it's still fresh on your mind.
Yes, I actually finished watching it shortly before the podcast, and I've come to realize something that's fun for me is causing my 2 co-hosts to go, ugh. So, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
That 3-minute explanation.
Great.
And you guys get to fill it in. So we are introduced to a man we're introduced to a world that got blown up, and all that's left is sand and desert, and everything that matters doesn't matter anymore outside of water, food, and driving around like you're on the scene of Mad Max.
Mm-hmm.
We see a bunch of people who think it's cool to have the letter Z or Z for those non-American tattooed on their forehead. And they belong, eventually we find out, to a gang called Zed. They're chasing after this poor caravan with a cow that somehow gets to stay standing up, even though they're going at fairly fast speeds, getting gas from who knows where. But they're going to, I'm assuming, the town that we end up going to. The Z crew rides up, kills everyone, kidnaps the cow, drinks the water while slopping it everywhere.
Cow nap the cow.
Poor thing. Sloppily drinks the water, which you would assume is bad, but no. But maybe it's just because they're bad men. And that's just the opening.
Me he's thirsty?
Oh, the thirst traps, I tell you.
Everyone's thirsty.
Happy Pride Month, by the way.
Oh yes, Happy Pride Month.
Pick.
We are introduced to who we find out is the protagonist, who is wandering through the desert, dying of thirst. He in fact collapsed, but because Mufasa's sister appears into the sunset, he gets back up and continues moving on.
Okay, alright. Okay. Alright, okay.
He's not technically wrong.
Oh, it's a little wrong. I have definitely made a bunch of points in my notes for like editor's notes of like things that are referenced.
So no reference to Disney?
No, well...
Buckle up, Bob.
Non-branded?
Does Disney own like the...
Disney owns everything, my friend. Disney owns everything.
Some fork of Hokuto no Ken at this point? Who knows? So the blonde guy is Ken's former like bestie. The girl is Yuria, and the reason that he's alone wandering is because like the last thing that happened to him, I want to say it was like a year or less ago, in terms of the show, is Shin stole Yuria and like was basically like torturing Ken to be like, Yuria, if you don't go out with me, I will keep torturing him. So she finally gave in and was like, all right, I stop hurting Ken, I'll go with you. And Ken has not seen either since. And then we've come upon him wandering.
All right. Because of the motivation created by a phantasm in the sky, he makes it to the town that is the town of niceness and happiness, where they let little girls run around and water dogs, once again, assuming that water is rare, she can do whatever she wants. And they're growing tomatoes.
It's because she's cute.
She is cute, I will grant that. And the puppy's tolerable.
The puppy freaks me out, honestly.
Bob, one of these days we're going to get you to admit puppies are adorable.
No, this puppy freaks me out.
This puppy's got something going on.
Its face is weird.
This puppy survived the Antarctic to get to, the main population in time for the main population to not be an issue. And if you get that reference, more power to you.
Without too much giving away, that puppy also never ages. It's a little weird. But
when in doubt, blame it on the radiation.
I'm also trying. Yeah, there's a lot to blame on radiation, but also I think like the entire course of the show is actually supposed to take place in like less than a year. So,
or they're just The Simpsons. Anyway,
well, I will say like maybe the majority of it, because I did kind of look ahead at some of the future episodes just to get an idea of what was in store, because I don't care about spoilers personally. So I'm like, draw me in more, and I know there is some kind of like period of literal actual growth, because some characters grow up literally.
Yeah, that's basically the season 2 the second series is after a time skip.
Sure.
So we see the village getting real upset because there's this kid who is stealing, and my assumption is he's done this several times, because their solution is we're going to hang him, which, considering this is post-apocalyptic, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting, I forget his name, like
Bat.
It's monosyllable. Yeah, Bat.
The noted potato thief, rapscallion, and opportunist extraordinaire,
Batman.
He's not even my favorite character. So while they're gathering up Bat to take him to jail to get hung, someone yells out, "There's another thief!" Because little girls can slop water in front of dogs, but a man who's dying of thirst, no. So they take Ken here and put him in jail with Bat.
Which, by the way, while we're on the introduction of Bat, is it just me or does Bat have some, like, Lupin the Third wannabe vibes?
A little bit.
He may have watched the historical texts.
Okay.
Because let's be honest, anything that survived the apocalypse is going to be potentially viewed as, once you get generations enough away from the actual event, is going to be just considered the historical texts.
So while they're in the jail cell, the little girl is like, "I'm nice to anything that looks a little weird." I actually jumped over something, but I'll go back to it. And she wants to give him water, and Bat's like, "This is our opportunity." Is mean to this poor little girl. I bring her up to the cage wall to try and get the keys, and Ken's like, "No," and zaps him in one of his many pressure points. That makes his arm go numb.
Hit him in the funny bone.
Yep. And it wasn't funny.
I laughed.
It was hilarious, honestly.
The little girl is like impressed that, I'm assuming, Ken was so nice, so she gets him food and water. Leaves the keys because, Z Crew be rolling in, because previously, and the part that I skipped over is a couple of the Zeds or Zeeds tied up Ken and dragged him by his feet with a rope, and he's like, "Nuh-uh," and kills them by blowing their heads up. Leaving one to live somehow, but perfectly timed so his head blows up later on. Just enough to say, "North Star." And everyone being confused, except for the audience going, "That's the name of the show!"
He said the thing!
That's also Polaris from the X-Men.
Yes. Great. Now you have me thrown off of that. We go back.
Success.
We go back, and the big bad leader of the Zed group is showing up. He's like, "You killed our people, and I'm gonna kill the little girl," while he's holding her above his head. And of course, Ken being...
You skipped a whole nother piece.
What'd I skip?
When Lynn comes back,
that's right, that's her name.
Yeah, when Lynn comes back and Bat sort of tactlessly reveals her whole backstory.
Oh yeah, where she can't talk. And actually, that's a good point, because it brings me up to so many other issues. He uses the blue force of his techniques to heal her so she can talk, because she was so traumatized by watching her parents get killed. A mysterious force, we see later, that he chooses not to talk until he heals her physically, even though it sounds like it's a mental issue. Whatever. He has the ability to heal. In 4 episodes, this is the only time I've seen.
Unblocked some chi, I'm guessing.
I have notes later about a character for whom this comes far more into play, but we just didn't hang around with that character in this election.
Yes. So the head of the Zed is holding Lynn above his head, and Fist of the North Star, Ken, goes all Bruce Lee on everyone, hitting pressure points, making people explode. And it's gory and not gory at the same time, because there's no real blood per se. It's like they're all made out of goop. They explode like weird slime pinatas.
Yeah,
with
they
distorted
tend to,
heads.
Silhouette it and stuff, so you're not seeing it directly.
Well, you see the head distortion, which is interesting.
And also
it would be a bad day.
Blood being censored by turning it into white goop instead of red goop, and you just go, is that better, actually?
Oh, it's actually kind of a little more creepy.
They're all filled with milk.
Oh, they got that thick milk.
Yep.
So Ken takes on the head Zed directly, decides to give him a massage to save Lynn because, happy Pride. And the leader of the Seed's like, you barely touched me, and he said the thing that I didn't realize was from this show.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Bob,
you
where have you heard that thing before?
Already dead. Most recently in Magic the Gathering.
Oh, right.
It's been referenced in Mania video game, Mania movie. It's nice to see its origin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what I was really hoping you'd pick up on it from there. That was a treat for me.
And like the whole first arc or two of this show, he does say that like once every episode, so that's
And
in case you weren't aware,
they follow it up with the perfect anime meme of all time. Nani?
The Zed leader's taken out, Lynn is saved, and I want to say, is it this one where they rip his shirt off and leader notices that Ken has some marks on his body in the shape of Big Dipper, which is the mark of the North Star, which means death is approaching. So Ken chooses to leave. That way no one in town is in trouble. And Bat goes with him because he wants to take advantage of how strong he is and get free stuff. And Lynn wants to, but the leader's like, no, he's leaving, that way we can live. Thus ends episode 1. I think. Yeah, that's the end of episode 1.
My favorite setup for stories are extremely competent man just minding his own business, wanders in and solves problems for people, and then wanders out again.
Yeah, Lone Wolf Sans Cub is very good.
I love, like, right off the bat, they set up sort of like one of the morals of the show, which is that strength is, I wrote that on my note. Strength is a factor of taking care of the weak, not taking advantage of the weak. Because the whole scene in the jail when like Ken is stopping Bat and helping out Lynn and just like, please, can I have some water? Please, can I have some more? Listen, I don't want to intrude you helping me out in the jail, but and then when she finally throws him the keys and is like, I gotta go, but you're a good guy, you should escape. Like, he doesn't need the keys. The bars were never stopping him. Oh my god. So good. It's so good.
Yeah, Bot's like fumbling with the keys and he looks over and Ken's just like, I'm just gonna bend the bars and walk through them and destroy it.
It's like that scene in which Marvel movie was it, with Captain America just tearing the log in half? It's like that, but a jail cell.
I mean, I would just add in, since Bob picked up on it, yes, the you are already dead, what? Meme. I knew it was there. I've known it's there. I remember seeing it there. It's just, it always makes me happy just to see it in its, native habitat, as it were, where its point of origin. Just because, like, the long-lasting cultural implications that have come with it. I say implications, effect more would be appropriate. And again, I remember many games of Magic the Gathering with Bob where I have said that, and I'm like, no, surely he's forgotten. So, Bob, you've truly made me happy that you remember that through all of these years.
I am very happy that you are happy.
I will add on, though, regarding the episode itself, my notes included a lot of, so I see where JoJo's got a lot of its, visual character design from. Yes.
Yeah,
Mad Max, very popular.
Yeah, this series influenced a lot of shows.
Which is also wild because it is just like, hey, we're just going to steal everything from Mad Max and then tell a Chinese martial arts story. To make a soap opera out of it. It's like, yeah, all right.
Well,
go ahead.
I have some facts I was going to talk more about, like the origins of the series and stuff later after. I don't know if you want it now or should I save those for the end?
I mean, you got good ones about Mad Max comparisons because I think that is big right off the bat.
I mean, yeah, Mad Max 2 specifically. Mad Max 2, Blade Runner, Akira, and the illustrations of artists Sid Mead and Frank Frazetta were the inspiration points for the setting for the story. The story originally was a 1980s present day setting, with Kenshiro originally being a teenager framed for a crime he did not commit. And that was like in the early concepts of it, but when he got hired to make the story and got paired up with the writer, they made it a whole new post-apocalyptic thing. And also good for calling out Bruce Lee, because he specifically based him on Bruce Lee and Yusaka Matsuda, who was a martial artist in the 70s.
It's one of the few popular martial artists that come to mind.
Yeah.
That's actually what I was going to say. Like, I know he was based on Bruce Lee, but maybe it's just because I recognize that this is drawing off of, like, Mad Max vibes and inspiration. I saw Mel Gibson in the, like, facial design with the hair and the attire. I'm like,
well, I see a lot of Bruce Lee with the eyebrows and the hairstyle.
True. Yeah. Like once the jacket and shirt disappear, I'm like, yes, I see Bruce Lee. When it's on, I'm like, Mad Max. Yeah, I recognize this.
Leather jacket, spikes.
I'm gonna throw this out, and nobody has to actually think about this right now. But is Fist of the North Star kind of the Simpsons of its genre? Because so much of what it is like references and influenced by other things and like direct callbacks and homages.
I would say no, because it's more inspiration than reference.
Yeah, I concur.
I would say if you're going that route, then that makes JoJo's arguably Family Guy.
See, I'm not going to argue with that.
But I would say JoJo's is more Simpsons, because it is definitely laying it out there with names like REO Speedwagon or Robert E.O. Speedwagon and Cars. Whereas here these are completely original names and characters. It's just also happens to be an apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic desert land, but we're not worried to get gas, just water. Well, also not Australia.
That's kind of the thing about it, though, right? Is because how many, like, I feel like this was kind of for our generation, but like, how many things did you learn about from The Simpsons and then only later learned, like, oh, they were referencing something? So that idea of, like, they're not spelling it out, they are just kind of doing it. And so I'm specifically talking about, like, the sort of aesthetics, I saw a note, I forget exactly what it was because I'm not the info gremlin on the show, but like everything about Rao's design when we see him later is based on more like specific character design art. So this idea of just like we are not spelling it out, we are just doing it in such a way that if you know the reference material, you go, yo, that's definitely Bruce Lee, that's definitely Mad Max, whatever. But if you don't know all that stuff, you can kind of just look at it and go like, oh man, yeah, it's like that thing from Fist of the North Star, not realizing that it's, pulling from 4, 5, 12 other things on its own.
If I may.
He specifically pulled from Ultraman and Tiger Mask for creating interesting enemy designs.
Mm-hmm.
If I may, I see your point, but allow me to tweak it just slightly.
Okay.
Is this not the comedic level now, but the historical reference level? Mel Brooks. Because there's a lot of jokes in Mel Brooks. Sure, you can get haha, it's funny. But then if you take like 5 seconds or have any like passing knowledge in history, wait, I get that reference. And could it inspire more deeper dives in there?
This thing is, like, I feel like so many things are sorry.
Go again?
Yep, sorry. Post-apocalyptic wasteland settings with, macho dudes fighting a lot, that it's not really like a specific reference to things. It's just like...
Fair.
Yeah, I agree. I feel this is more derivative as opposed to referential, and possibly inspirational for future
Nick, I think you and I are suffering under the burden of foreknowledge. We know what it is, therefore we see it.
Maybe. See, I feel
Or
like
bias. That's what it is. I meant to say bias.
When I think of Mel Brooks, I feel like they're Mel Brooks plays in like genre settings, like Western or like, history, and I haven't seen a lot of Mel Brooks, but like, that's saying that like Mel Brooks and Gladiator are pulling from the same thing is different from saying like Mel Brooks pulled from Gladiator. Not that chronology works out, but I'm just trying to think of two things that both have Romans in it.
I get you. Mel Brooks actually did pull from Ben-Hur in History of the World. So, I mean, I wasn't going to make that reference, but that kind of fell through. So, I see what you're saying. But one could argue this is definitely playing with a genre or a setting. Because post-apocalyptic...
Flip side. Are we watching this to say that they riffed from these shows, or that it was inspired by and thus continued on?
I feel like it definitely drew inspiration. I don't think it necessarily riffed.
Then it goes to intent. Your Mel Brooks had the intent to pull from these, whereas
like
The Fist did not.
Mel Brooks definitely has like a doing it in parody rather than doing it as it's like, oh, what was the cool thing, let's do that too, but like to sort of be in conversation with the piece that was referenced, I guess. Listen, I'm just trying to say that the last part of the Simpsons reference was also, it actually really holds up today, even in the face of the things that it inspired and were iterations on top of it, because when the bandits walk up and say, "What do you want?" and Ken just cracks his knuckles in what I think is one of the best pieces of reused animations in anything, with just the knuckle cracks. I'm just like, yeah, all right, that holds up. That is good today. That is as good today as I imagine it was back at the time. That is so good.
Joe, do me a favor. What year did this? What year did Fist of the North Star's manga first come out?
83.
You know what was a real missed opportunity, and I understand why, because 1990X is the far future, quote unquote, from that perspective. It was a real miss, look retrospectively, and I kind of put this in my notes, so shame on me. If they had put 1980X, you could literally say, yeah, this is based on the historical destruction wrought by Chernobyl. And I mean
Japanese.
I'm not saying that.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I'm not trying to be flippant about it. I'm like, that because of the way history played out, like that kind of would almost give it a sense of like, the reaction to a thing, and then you find out, oh no, it was almost, to borrow Nick's, a Simpsons predicted it moment.
I think in this case, and this is true for a lot of Japanese media, it's just they have that like nuclear awareness in their like cultural zeitgeist, and also in the 80s you've still got like the Cold War going on and stuff, so that concept of a lot of media at that time had like post-apocalyptic type settings or discussions about the topic of it.
Oh yeah, no, I believe me, I'm painfully aware of that. My first reaction was, yes, the far future of 1990X. I'm like, if they'd only set it one decade back, they could have had something to really play around with historically and not realized it.
And if they only waited around for X years, then they would have been in the year 2000X, and this would have been concurrent with Mega Man. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, Mega Man is responsible for Fist of the North Star.
God, Punch Man. Damn it, you made a point that I wanted to talk about, but then I had to get my stupid Mega Man joke out.
Predicting the future, nuclear bombs, Chernobyl.
The using nuclear stuff as a backdrop, but I think in very specifically like post-apocalyptic, I do think the show makes good use of like using that backdrop to tie into central themes, because there is a theme throughout this show about like the strong rule over the weak, or is actually the greatest strength, being empathetic. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
like all of the heroes of this show, all the underdogs who, you know, you cheer for are the ones who end up being the most empathetic in a certain way, or have the most empathy, can use the most empathy. So it's a and the idea of like putting it in a post-apocalyptic world where everyone sort of jumps to like, oh, the setting for the world is strength rules all. It's like, no, we are engaging directly with that theme. So I feel like, you know, even if it was sort of picking it because that was a popular thing to set a popular setting for media or whatever, I do think they do a good job telling a story that thrives in that specific setting.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree.
Shall we continue on?
I was about to say. So before we go into the next episodes, I have my editor notes here on how much stuff we skipped. How much would people like to know about what we skipped?
I mean, you're asking the wrong person, because I'm always a sucker for that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, how much is it relevant to what happens in the next episode?
Okay, so basically the entirety of basically the entire first arc is the like Ken chasing after Shin, and you know, pursuing him and pursuing Yuria and fighting through the multiple bandit gangs and lieutenants under Shin's command. And we skip over all of that. This is like 3 episodes after that whole arc ends. Arc 2 is basically where we meet Rei, and this is like the 2nd episode of that. But yeah, so everything about Shin and Yuria is done with by the time we get into the 2nd episode.
Does Yuria die? Or does he just leave her? Oh, I see. No, actually, leave it as suspense.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the episodes that kind of answered that question.
There's a weird
To be fair.
They kind of do. Listen,
They touch on it.
There's a lot of plot weight around some of these ideas. So
Gotcha.
watch and find out for yourself, listener at home. And Bob.
All right. And Bob. That's what the internet is for. Anyway.
Or you could watch the 1980... crap, where's my...
My favorite year night.
1986, they made a animated movie that covers basically that arc with Shin.
Yes.
I'm sorry, you mean 1980X?
No, I mean 1986. So yeah, if you don't feel like watching, you know, the whole show, but want to get a sense of it, the movie is a good place to do that. Not the live-action one made in 1995, which doesn't exist.
Aww.
It's a hell of a thing. It's we cannot address that now. We're already
Okay.
We've gone too deep.
We're already so tangential. We cannot. Okay.
Hold on.
Right.
We've gone too deep in the Weebs. We need the machete. Get
The
it.
2nd episode we watched was episode 25, Sinners, Thy Name is Fang Clan.
This is an interesting episode because it's going for emotional weight. And I'm not as invested, but I can see where they're going with it. You open with Bat and Lynn walking around town, smelling stuff because that's a normal thing for children to do.
Mm-hmm.
They smell and they smell and they smell something good, which, because they've never smelt it before, it's interesting that they can just associate this with a good smell, but they come across the elder of the village making cake. Because it's Mamma Mia's birthday coming up.
Oh, here we go again.
So, she's all excited. She sees Ken, who's just there looking all stern, and my favorite character, Rei, and
Okay, good. Okay, good.
I think Bob likes this one.
now Mamma Mia's like, "Where's my brother?" And they're like, "Oh, he went off out of the village. Reasons that we actually don't know." And she's like, "Oh no, poor Ku." So we cue out to Ku, who is riding back on his motorcycle, because coup be coup. And he had gotten something for his sister, spoiler alerts, for the birthday coming up. And he's all happy because he hadn't seen any of the Snake Clan around as he's riding back home. Cue obvious foreshadowing as a boulder rolls in front of him. Snake Clan. And he's all, I'm going to stop you, and throws a toothpick at the main leader, who's like, you messed with my face.
I do love it when a character says, and nothing can possibly go wrong.
Oh no!
Something went wrong! So, apparently every single person in the Snake Clan is going to come to the village because he had a toothpick stuck in his forehead.
He made him bleed his own blood. He must be punished.
That is true. In fact, that's what they say.
My notes.
Simpsons did it. That's from Simpsons, right?
That was Zoolander.
Oh, it was also in Simpsons. Nelson said it.
Oh God, you're right. This is The Simpsons.
Gotcha.
So they bring the brother in front of everyone. It's like, because I bled my own blood, he must bleed his own. Everyone just stands there and watches. I don't know if it's some sort of code of honor with Ken and Ray and every single person down to the dog, but they just watch this happen.
So, I do want to fill in, like, in the previous episode, Ken had already slaughtered, like, a whole bunch of their boys, so it is less just for what Ko did and more about the just huge amount of gang members that Ken and Ray killed.
We're sending a message.
Yeah.
It's right outside the wall. Ken and Ray are capable of a little bit faster movement and could be like, no, because we lead into what happens to be the only episode I get to see Ku in, because he is immediately killed by the boss leader. Thrown on the ground, and they're like, this is the message, and they drive off, and Mamma Mia's all stern, looking, I am a leader here, so I can't cry, but goes off and cries later where the elder says it's okay. They come to find out that Ku went and got strawberries because that is Almia's favorite fruit. And according to the elder, a cake is not complete without strawberries. So,
and then Lynn starts putting the strawberries on the cake and singing Happy Birthday.
In American English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No. I want to talk about that once we're done with this episode, because there's a thing I've noticed.
Lynn, you're not helping anything. This is the scene that just has all the sadness all at once.
So, Mamma Mia is all sad, and both Ken's like, I'm gonna go take it out on I guess it's the Fang clan. Look above your head, Bob.
Oh, I thought you were doing a gag.
Oh, there's the green of the leader really just put snake in my head.
The green fur that snakes are known for having.
Anyway, so Ken goes to Fang Clan's headquarters and sees that Ray is already there, because Ray is smart and kind and awesome and has this real cool technique where he also screams, because that's necessary in this show. He makes like fast slices through the air somehow, this technique, and just cuts people up. Ken's confused because I'm assuming last episode Ray comes across as, dispassionate and self-centered.
So he's an immediate Vegeta. When we are introduced to Ray, he is actually fighting alongside the Fang clan, and he is like their hired muscle. But then as soon as he meets Ken, he's like, oh, you seem way cooler than these fools, and just instantly turns sides and starts hanging out with Ken in the village. But it's just like, you were fighting with the bad guys, but now you're our friend? Okay, we don't trust you. And like they keep him at arm's distance, so he is kind of quiet and aloof, but just because nobody trusts him, because he just the first thing we learn about Ray, turncoat. Okay, what now?
So in a unique twist of humor, Ken and Ray have a conversation about how they're both here because they saw a lady's tears and they need to get revenge, all in front of this clan where the leader's like, you understand we're going to kill you. They both look at him like, no. And then go around knocking the entire clan out except for the leader. Ray doing his awesome slices, Ken doing his massages, and all of these people just go and die. Except for the leader, which Ken gets the. I think it's this episode where he does his pokey poke, and the leader's like, "No, my father."
Okay.
Is it this episode? Oh, good. So it is this episode.
Kenshiro uses the move Okuto Shinju Kaiken, the North Star 1,000-armed breaking fist. Which this one is amazing because he doesn't actually hit him. He pulls like the little brother, I'm not punching you gag. He just punches very slowly 1,000 times and then says the name of the attack, and every punch lands at the exact same time and just explodes this man.
That's us next episode. And they return to town, and really, for the most part, that's this episode.
Mamiya has her cake.
Yes, and Mamma Mia has her cake. The few things I want to note that I recall is the lookout guy who Ken tangles up. You can find out where the hideout is. And he Ken attacks the secret pressure point Shinpukumen, which is the pressure point that locks your arms behind your head and back, and also if you take a step, you'll explode. Which he tells him, and he takes the step.
I'm calling your bluff.
And Ray carries around a cape.
Yes, we get Ray's backstory.
Which is very nice.
Because
he is awesome.
I was going to say, are we going to share that backstory right now? Seems like
Go
the
ahead.
time.
I mean, it seems reasonable.
Yeah. So it's just for the scene at when he's finished telling it, because basically, Ray was away. I forget why, but then a gang of bandits came and killed his parent and stole his little sister on her wedding day, and he came back and basically saw the massacre, and the last thing his dad said before he died was that his sister was stolen by a man with 7 scars on his chest. So he's like,
so
he's like, and I will travel the world fighting until I kill the man with the 7 scars. And we just pan over to Ken, and he's just like, uh-oh.
Did anyone else, when they saw that, and again, maybe this is my fault for just inundating myself with memes and comedy and far too much irreverence, God, a terrible sentence. Did anyone else just at that moment expect him to put his hand to his chest and hear the end of Curb Your Enthusiasm's outro just start playing?
Yeah. Basically. I thought he was going to do full-on shifty eyes, just like,
Oh man, 7 scars, that's wild.
Yeah, that's weird.
Who's heard of that?
Pulling on his shirt collar like Rodney Dangerfield.
Takes knife to chest, gives new scar, 8 scars.
No problem. No, couldn't be me.
Yeah, wow, wild. Okay.
No, these are birthmarks.
Yeah, and that's that episode.
Yeah, these are my chickenpox scars.
Yeah, you gotta have that as a kid, otherwise the radiation gets you later.
Yeah.
Anyone could have had those scars.
Can we talk about how all village elders seem to have a uniform?
They all do stupid things. Village elder just means, I guess, you're the cook.
No, village elder, knowledge is stored in a beard, and you have to wear purple. That's it. That's all you do.
I feel like, in more recent years, the last decade or so, they've kind of dropped away from that aesthetic. But yeah, for the longest time, it's like, village elder, what he's dressing as. The colors might be different, but you know what you're getting. Long beard, old man, makes cakes, apparently has strong feelings about strawberries. But no, you're not wrong.
That way you know who the elder is.
Now, I want to circle back, speaking of the cake, since I was so kind to bring it up myself.
And we're going to talk about Ray again, now that we're speaking of cake.
Well, it's
wait,
the cake
okay.
thing. Not even the cake. It's the singing "Happy Birthday" at like the worst possible time.
Yeah.
Is a thing in anime, because I can tell you, those who haven't seen Mobile Suit Gundam: The Witch from Mercury, incredibly minor spoiler. If I remember correctly, definitely the like episode 0, but there's an episode later on when we have our main character and they're dealing with birthday cakes and singing happy birthday, and you have a character going through some kind of incredible trauma, but someone is singing it to them in full English.
Mhm.
That's just a real thing anime has just carried through, and manga, obviously. So, yeah, for generations of these media types, this is a thing they really love to go back for. It's like, if you're having a birthday, man, you're either having a really good time or you're having the worst time.
There's something about this episode, like part of why this show works is because it is a soap opera. It takes itself so self-seriously when so much of it is ridiculous. But like, really, this is an episode where they take the sadness and turn it up to a level of camp, you know?
Mm.
It's just like, oh, like at least the dog didn't die, but come on, like a different little kid who's gonna lose their doll or something, like, all on the same day.
Is this your sandcastle kick?
Today was the birthday of my wedding. Like, what?
Today was the birthday of my wedding. My wedding turned 1.
Ku, that the boulder that they used to stop Ku was only 2 days away from retirement. You know, like,
yeah. So if you're having what I take away from all this is, if you're having a birthday in anime, run.
Mm-hmm. I do want to talk a little more about Ray, because I think that will be appreciated among this group.
No, I don't think Bob has any interest in that.
But it's Ray, and he is cool.
No, Bob doesn't care. Bob has made it clear he doesn't care about Ray.
So
okay, for the audience.
For the audience, and the audience solely. The rest of you can go take a smoke break. Basically, we didn't get the full thing about it, but part of the premise is that Ken not only knows, Hokuto Shinken, but he is the sole heir of this ancient Chinese assassination art. Not a martial art, it's an assassination art. Go figure.
I need to interject real quickly, because all I can think of once you said that is those old detergent commercials. Ancient Chinese martial art, huh? Just the way you said it. Please continue.
It's not wrong. But so there's this whole thing where Hokuto is the North Star. Like, he is the sole inheritor of the North Star style. Pretty much every other major character we're going to meet in this show is a Nanto master. Nanto being the South Star. So Shin was a South Star master, and Rei is a South Star master. So basically, Hokuto and Nanto are like polar opposites, basically.
Literally.
Yeah. Well, because at one point they say it, the thing about Hokuto is that it, because it is based on pressure points, so technically it's like a non-invasive acupuncture-based assassination art.
You just use your fingers as the needles, it's fine.
Or your feet. In that first episode, he does hit people, like 3 dudes pressure points with a single roundhouse kick. I will say we skipped over an episode where he hits the pressure points of a tank. Don't worry about it.
Hold on. Tell me more about the pressure points on a tank. I need to know.
One of them is the little window that the driver looks through, so you want to punch there first.
Okay, so the driver's eyes. Got it.
So, but yeah, it is the Hokuto style is basically about like, manipulating the internals of your opponent. Hit them into pressure points, change the flow of their ki or whatever, and make their head explodes. Or heal them, or, allow them to overcome their PTSD and talk again. It is a many many-faceted art, assassination art that lets you heal PTSD, you know? But the whole thing is that the damage it does, it damages the opponent from the inside out. So this is important because now Nanto, South Star, is similarly the polar opposite in that it is a technique where it damages the opponent from the outside. Like most other forms of attacks known to man.
I was just thinking like any attack.
Uh-huh. But yeah, so Ray is specifically, he is a Nanto master. He is the, I want to say he's like the flying heron style master.
Waterfowl.
Waterfowl.
It translates it as waterfowl.
Yeah, there's
the duck.
Different episodes translated differently, I believe.
Yeah.
I forget which Shin was the. So okay, also every South Star master has a specific star that they are assigned to. Sort of like it's a weird kind of martial arts limited zodiac.
I'll say, yeah, I think they refer to it as like the Southern Cross, don't they?
So Southern Cross is the capital city of Shin's army.
No, okay, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, trust me, I got notes. That's how I can keep this straight. What was the other important, quote unquote, important point here? South Star outside in Nanto stars. Something that was very hard for me to reconcile with in only choosing 4 episodes is that I had to, in that first arc of everything going after Shin, it is very like monster of the week. It is just like, hey, here's another guy. It's all out in the pursuit of Shin. It's all of that. It's honestly like way more formulaic and weirdly enough less drama heavy than everything from the introduction of Ray going forwards. So that's kind of why I felt it was very skippable. But we did skip a number of people demonstrating fighting styles that were not aligned under North or South stars. So just a short list. There is the fighting style of having a tank. That is his fighting style.
I love it.
There is the assassination art of just throwing a lot of dynamite at your opponent. Just individual sticks, just chucking them.
I mean, it works.
Hold on, wait a minute. Is this just the martial arts of being an armed militia?
There is the assassination art of holding 2 knives and then letting your cohorts fire you out of a cannon at your opponent like it's Barnum and Bailey Big Top Circus.
Bucket list item.
And there's also the martial arts style of being so fat that your opponent cannot reach your pressure points through all of your fat.
I
win!
These are like dramatically and in terms of like what has gotten me so invested in this show, the whole first arc is skippable. In terms of just seeing fights against dumb stuff happen, the first arc should not be missed.
Yeah, no, this actually I've seen like various episodes of the series, but never had the opportunity to really sit down and watch it, start to finish. That what you're describing though is absolutely if G Gundam wasn't a clear indicator of me like stupid fight things, this is absolutely my kind of jam.
Oh yeah, twice in my notes I had to take note of when the episodes made me cry, just from like all of the investment that I had, as well as like just seeing it again. I don't know, the part where Ray and Ken both show up in the Fang leader camp and he's just like, Ray, what are you doing here? And it's like, oh, I came to kill all of the Fang boys because they made a woman cry. And Ken's just like, but I came here to kill all the Fang boys because they made a woman cry. And then
we just become best friends?
Yeah,
yes.
They might as well do the commando hand grasp meme with the 2 big biceps.
I mean, they're literally equipped for it, so yeah.
Yeah, So I think that's why the point of Ray being a Nanto master is fairly important, because like not only is Ray super awesome, but there is sort of like an equivalence being laid out of North and South Star. So like him and Ken are peers in a way that Ken has not had appear at any other point in the show. So this is the first character who is really like a bro to Ken. And so like watching them fight side by side, even though they come from, polar opposite sides of the martial arts spectrum, that alone is just a great piece going on. Okay, I'm done.
It's all going to be on the test later, too, Bob.
I do like Ray.
Speaking of tests, no, nobody's picking up what I'm putting down? Okay.
I am. I'm just letting it go.
Is that the transition to the next episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because,
No, I got what you meant.
All right, so go for it.
The third episode we watched was episode 44, The Death Omen Star Shines. Kenno, do you control even death?
So once again, I just a quick note we have now jumped over like 3 or 4 more arcs, including 2 cases of stolen identity and 1 jailbreak.
Yeah.
It shows.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We got all the important stuff. Ray is still here and awesome as hell, and now Toki is here.
And everyone is fine.
Everyone's fine.
He's the wizard, right?
Jesus is here.
Toki's Jesus. Toki's Japanese Jesus.
Okay.
So I was gonna say let's start talking about episodes, and then you tell me when you want to learn everything about Toki.
I was looking at Ray's wiki entry, and it does note it as the Waterfowl fist, which is said to be the most elegant of the Nanto Seiken styles, and it represents the Star of Justice.
Yes. Actually, the beauty of Ray's martial art is the entire motivational force of a later arc that occurs, and I love it, and that might actually be one of my favorite arcs. Ray is the best. Here's the thing. Kenshiro is fantastic, but Ray is... Anytime Ray is on the screen is kind of when Fist of the North Star is at his best, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
All right, good. Man of taste. I love it.
Considering this next episode starts with Mamma Mia hanging out with the wizard.
Mm-hmm. Point to screen.
And,
that's Toki.
Okay. So Toki was a wizard.
Yeah.
Because I have declared it. Because he sees stuff after...
He had the owl.
Anyway. I don't know what to do with that.
He's a wizard, Bob.
He's got an owl. Is the owl named Alcor?
Yep.
No, he had an owl core.
I love owl core. That's my favorite genre.
Your favorite subgenre of... Yeah. Sorry, again, real quick. Joe, is Alcor a real star?
Okay, that's in my notes about the North Star and the Big Dipper, if you want me to save that until...
Because that's what they refer to as the North Star is actually the North Star, isn't it?
The end. Yeah, let's save that for the end, because it's a whole thing.
Okay.
We'll come back around to...
It's a mini rant I have.
All right, excellent.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, anyway. So, Mamma Mia and Toki, the mystical long-haired hippie, have decided that this episode should be dedicated to Ken's lead up to who he is, and for me, this is the introduction of his equal but arch nemesis, Rao.
Right.
To be confused with the other Rao. And they show them practicing their Fist of the North Star ways, which is the martial arts form that you guys have mentioned several times, and I can't remember the name of, South fighting. Anyway, in an effort to show how amazing and strong they are, a clear leader of the fists brings in a tiger. And depending on how the tiger reacts, because this is just a normal thing to happen, shows your level of advancement. If the tiger senses anything, it will attack. Tiger goes before Ken and calms down. sensing what the leader says is it knows death. And then goes to attack Rao, who Rao remembers, oh yes, this is a milk cow, tears off his head because it's thirsty. And the leader's like, oh, tiger feared death, which is why it attacked. Leader says that Ken is the stronger one because of how the tiger reacted to Ken. Is interested in Rao's fighting because Rao is so strong.
Okay, so... Okay. This particular elder, you can tell he's an elder because he's in the elder outfit, yes, uniform. This is Ryukin. Ryukin is the previous sole inheritor of the Hokuto no Ken.
The North Star fight?
Yes. So the whole thing is Ken, Toki, and Rao are all adopted brothers of Ryuken, and they all trained together, and they were training up to the point where Ryuken could decide which one of them would become the single inheritor of the Hokuto no Ken style. Because, like...
The wizard could fight?
The wizard can fight. So there's a... Like I said, when you want me to just lore dump on Toki, you just pull the...
No, that's okay. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Wizard cast fist.
Yes. So, like, we go into another episode, but, like, the long story short is it basically came down to whether it would be Ken or whether it would be Rao. And Rao was clearly, like, the stronger and more vicious. Ken was actually sort of the runt of the brothers.
Okay.
But yes, it is the Ken has, like, the disposition to inherit this specific art. That's why Ryuken is just like, damn, when Rao took that tiger's head clean off, that is not an assassination art. That's still wicked strong, but that ain't Hokuto. So that's what that whole scene is that is a flashback to the brothers being tested, another test to determine North Star style inheritance, because it only ever has one inheritor.
Reasons we don't know, or probably we'll find out. Who knows?
Highlander rules.
It's an ancient Chinese assassination art. That's just how those things work. Unless it's Nanto. Well, that's why Nanto has like 70 different styles, so that way everyone can have one.
Say, Bob, we got to introduce you to the Highlander rules. We got to get that rule set clear. It came out in 5th edition.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the arcs we skipped over is where Sean Connery appears and pretends to be a Spaniard.
You mean Zeppeli?
Yes, Baron von Zeppelin.
Yep.
Ooh, okay.
We switch stories over to Ken and Ray being awesome and going to a town to get supplies because they're going on a trip in their little rocket ship.
Mm-hmm.
They get there and this village has been ransacked, and which is really bad, although it seems like it's probably more common than I realize in this particular area. They really should invest in some sort of signs that just say no. So they talk to someone who lived because you got to leave someone to live. That's just oddly true because this is the second or third time that's happened. And they find out, oh no, bad guys. And it sounds like they're going back to the village they just left.
Right. So it was Keno's advanced guard had hit this village and marched out of it towards Mamiya's village, which they had just come from, or were also returning back to now that they had Toki in tow.
So we switch stories back to Mamma Mia chatting with the wizard, and we learn a little more backstory about how she looks so much like Arya. Can't think of her name.
Yuria Morgendorfer.
Thank you. And how she mattered so much to like these weird three guys, which apparently the bald elder just kept in a cave because they all lusted after her at the same time.
No, Shin also lusted after her. Basically, So I realize what we have here is just an amazing case of narrative efficiency, because by the time this show is over, there's going to be like at least 8 different people all motivated by Yuria. So by fridging one woman, they managed to set 8 different major characters into motion. I just love that efficiency.
I'll grant you that. Everyone wants her. No one can have her.
This is absolutely what happens when you're the one person with boobs in a group of nerds.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Also that, yes.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh, the 80s were a mentality, Bob.
So...
no, not even. I'm speaking from life experience. I was the Yuria of, like, several groups through my lifetime.
Uh-huh.
Hold on, wait, Joe, are you dead? You have to tell us if you're dead.
No, I'm not dead, as far as I know.
Are you safe? Are there refrigerators nearby?
Are you a life-size My Best Friend doll? Don't worry, you'll get that joke. You'll get that joke if you watch the rest of the series.
Yeah.
That was just for me, I guess.
No, I got it.
No, it was cool. It was a doll for kids, and then because it was the same size as the kids, you could swap clothes with the doll and have tea parties where it was... Anyway.
No, I'm showing that movie later this month.
Grody. All right, let's go.
So they get through talking about their past life there with the wizard. And Mamma Mia points up to the sky. Oh, check it out! There's a star! And the wizard's like, holy crap, you're a wizard too! Because that's apparently the Omen of Death star.
Yes.
Which is this show's way of saying someone's going to die this episode.
If that is a star that if you can see it, that is your omen that you will die within the year.
Oh, which made Wizard really sad.
Uh-huh.
No one likes a sad wizard.
Toki has his own moment of just like, uh-oh, what'd you say? Uh-oh.
Cue back to the village because the bad guys finally made it there. Everyone thought everything was fine because, mail carriers still exist back then. They got a letter that everything was A-okay with Mamma Mia and the wizard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my reaction to that was, holy shit, people could still read and write.
So everyone's partying. Bat goes to the door and it's like, hey, yay! And everyone's dancing, and then the 2 lookouts die. And then the people standing with Bat die as the door starts collapsing and Bat starts running away. Hey, look out, everyone! And then Bat gets shot in the back.
Yep.
And I will ask the question because I do want to know, because I am slightly invested in this character. Does Bat live?
Yes, we see him in the next episode.
Yeah, he's in the next episode.
I forgot.
Did you not finish your homework, Bob?
I did.
It is a hell of a moment. Like, this kid.
It was really tragic.
We've been with
like, no,
40 episodes.
You can't kill him. He's the comedy relief. He can't die.
Yeah, you can only kill off characters that are copies of other characters and totally expendable.
Also,
that is true.
We didn't see this, but Bat knows how to drive a Jeep, and apparently Ken doesn't. So he's kind of the chauffeur of the group.
Oh, no.
And I am a little out of order because I forgot that Mamma Mia got attacked by weird-looking lizard people.
Yeah. That scene happened.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, Seeker.
Those were some creepy dudes.
Chameleon men.
They all make the same noises.
It's the Mortal Kombat, dude.
I was like, these are... Yeah. I was like, these are traditional, crazy-eyed anime villains with weird long tongues.
On the wall. And Ken just happens upon them, and to be fair, Mamma Mia does pretty good with her bladed yo-yo.
Mm-hmm.
She trained dispatching a few of them.
She trained in the Star Tropics.
And Ken comes and saves her from the last one. She dispatches all of... Wow, bad grammar. She dispatches all of them except for one. Looks like he's going to kill her slowly, which I suppose is probably a very nice thing considering the alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
And he just comes and does his super face massage, and the chameleon man's like, my eyes are still spinning, I'm dead, and dies.
Mm-hmm.
Which a weird phrase. So cue back to poor Bat, which we don't actually even see the rest of the episode. As all the bad guys come into town to try to take things over. Lynn, right? That's the little girl's name?
Yeah.
Lynn, yeah.
Is hiding with a lady who I don't know.
So
Wow.
this is where I lean in and point at the screen and go, that's Irie. That's Ray's sister. We skipped over the arc where they resolved that plot line by rescuing her.
I'm glad she's better now so she can be in another village that gets ransacked, because that's just what happens in this town.
Also, Ken did more positive punch magic on her and cured her PTSD-induced blindness. So,
It's too bad it can't do anything physical and heal wounds. No, just like the bad voodoo.
He can't.
Well, he doesn't use it for that.
That would be horrible. Heaven forbid.
That's not what he trained
Otherwise,
for.
who might still be alive soon. And the episode ends with, I'm assuming, Ken and Mamma Mia running back towards the town, as well as Ray leaping through the sky, looking all cool, slicing up people as their body bits go flying behind him, and he's like, I'm awesome, and continues running on.
He turns those boys into star stuff.
Oh my god. You're not wrong.
And that episode is running to save the village, which I can only assume is saved, as you mentioned, see Bat later on.
Well, you miss a part where he, like, right before the credits roll, he just looks up at the sky and he's like, oh, I feel invigorated. I feel my spirit burning as bright as that weird little star next to the Big Dipper that I've never noticed before. Anyway, here I go.
Yeah. Yeah. My notes for this entire episode end up with, why does everyone keep looking up?
Everyone stop stargazing. It's unhealthy.
A Viking invades the village, if I recall.
Oh,
boy.
So.
Yeah, all right.
This episode was kind of more of a explanation of Ken, I feel like, and the introduction of Rao. Even though it sounds like there was a little bit more backstory with them.
Yeah, there's a lot more going on specifically with the brothers. Like, as soon as Yuria is rescued, that's when the show sort of turns into this story of Ken and his other brothers and the competition to be the successor of the Hokuto no Ken. So we have gotten a lot of backstory on them leading up, but I thought this one was a really good one to just sort of, honestly, for the tiger scene, I was like, oh, it's going to be good for that, and it's going to introduce the Death Omen star, and it is another moment of just like a comedy of tragedies with everyone seeing the stupid star. But yeah. Let's see here. What do you need to know about Toki? Let me see if I can give the abridged version. Toki was, like I said, one of the four brothers up on one of the options for succession. I think he like voluntarily ducked out and left Rao and Ken because he was just, so Toki is the one who said, oh, this is basically acupuncture. We could use this assassination art to heal people. So he does get into fights at some points, but his whole thing is he does use, Hokuto techniques to, like, even the people he makes his head explodes, they all suffer euphoria as their heads explode. So he is the kind head exploder. But also, like, his whole thing is he basically wandered off to what do you call it? He wandered off to basically become a Hokuto doctor. And like he is actually like set up in a village. He is healing patients. He is like the world renowned healer. And that is
Jesus.
Yeah, he's Jesus. He's a magical. He can heal things that nobody else can heal. So also in one of the flashbacks when we were seeing, young Rao and Toki and Yuria translations, his hair is black back then. I do want to say I think that flashback is only about like 5 years prior. Toki is very sick because so like the World War III that happened itself was only like a year or 3 ago or something like that. Like everyone, all of our main characters at the very least have like were alive before the bombs went off. And the thing about Toki is at the shelter that everyone went to, the like latch broke on the bomb shelter door, so he was just like, everyone get in, and then he just stayed on the outside and held the bomb shelter shut with his bare hands. And then when he opened it back up, he's like, I'm fine, I have white hair and all the radiation sickness now, but I'm good. And that's why he's so sick. That's why he's totally rad. Oh, I did it, I made another pun.
Oh no, you got there. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, have you ever been so strong and so capable a healer that you just survived direct exposure to lethal radiation?
Well, I mean, he probably poked himself somewhere in the secret pressure point that makes you resistant to radiation poisoning.
Ah, yes,
that we've all forgotten.
Well,
good old Toki Pokey keeps you alive, kills owls.
Toki.
Yeah, the old Toki Pokey.
Oh my god.
Toki pokes you, and you live longer, survive radiation.
You put your index finger in, you pull your index finger out,
and that's what healing's really all about.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, okay, that's my abridged Toki the abridged series.
I was gonna say, we gotta be careful using the word abridged around anime discussions.
But yeah, I believe that brings us into the final episode that we watched, right?
Yes.
I
mean, I know 3 of us watched it. Bob
I forgot Stinking Bat was in it, okay? I was so focused on a certain other aspect of this episode.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in this episode.
No, this is pretty straightforward.
Alright, the 4th episode we watched was episode 47, The South Star Waterfowl Fist's Dance of Death. I'll give my life for love.
Aw.
I'm not gonna lie, reading this title, I just imagine a duck dancing.
Swan Lake, yeah.
Yeah.
So, this is actually not a bad episode because we got a lot more introduction to Ray. It is way awesome because he is currently fighting, I believe, against who we find out is Rao. As you had mentioned, it's Ken's brother, adopted brother, or something.
Brother, yep.
And Ken is trying to get back there and say, "Hey, don't fight him." But Ray don't give no two poops because he is super strong. It's like, I'm gonna fight you. And even though people on the sidelines are saying, no, don't fight him, like
Lynn and Mamiya and basically every other. So, okay, here's my little headcanon. I think Lynn is a new type.
New type?
I know where you're going, and I think I see your line.
Okay, all right, good. She's either a new type or she is the equivalent of the DBZ power scanner in this universe where those don't exist. It's one or the other.
Do we ever find out who kills her parents? Because I just worked on the assumption that Rao did.
No, never comes into play, I don't believe. Unless it's like in
I feel like she identified him riding in on his majestic horse. Anyway.
I think this is not the first time that they have encountered each other. This is just like the to jump ahead a little bit, this is the first major fight between Ken and Rao.
Gotcha. So Ray is like, I'm going to go all out because I need to save it, even though everyone's telling me no. He jumps in the air to attack Rao, and Rao's like, no, and just stops him.
A muda occurs. You'll understand later, Bob.
And Rao's like, he's attacking me with everything. He doesn't care if he dies as long as I die. Kind of just stops him.
So Ray uses the I practiced this earlier, but Nanto Kyukoku Omi Danko Saiken, the South Star Ultimate Technique : self-sacrifice counterbalance fist. Which I'm not sure if any of those are words anymore.
Well, they are words. I can't confirm this.
Okay.
So because of that, Rao changes everything and just kind of one punch guts him.
He throws his cape over his head. He's like,
Yeah.
nah.
Bob, he used the most powerful Pokemon move ever. He used cape. It was super effective.
Just like the very fancy equivalent of Pocket Sand Attack.
Yeah.
So by that time, with a couple distractions out of the way, i.e. people trying to stop Ken from getting there and instantly exploding, Ken gets there and sees Ray lying on the ground. He's like, "What'd you do?" And so then we finally get the Ken versus Rao fight. Which they just kind of stand there and fart in each other's general direction for a little bit.
Jeez.
Please,
and
it's called their aura.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
Bob.
The blue versus the yellow.
Bob, I will have you know, because this joke occurred to me, it is literally red versus blue.
Is it red?
Yep.
So now correct me if I'm wrong with my memory. Do they go flying in the air with their focus fight?
Flying, no.
Their aura is so strong that it starts sucking the air in around them, and there's a big, not explosion, but air explosion.
It's a tornado.
And it launches them into the air.
Or they can fight.
The horse can be part of it.
Exactly. Because apparently, according to Ken, that's an advantage. Because at first, Rao lays a strike immediately on Ken, but Ken eventually gets his comeuppance and is able to get a strike on Rao, because Rao doesn't realize that Ken's gotten so strong. And Ken's like, "You'd be stronger if you weren't fighting on your horse," which I guess makes sense. If there's anything I've heard, if you have the high ground, you win.
Obi-Wan taught us that.
Yes. So they continue fighting, and like I said, Ken was able to get a strike on Rao, but Rao's like, "Just so you know, if someone hadn't saved you, I would have killed you by now." It ends up that Ray, thankfully still alive, had shot an arrow at Rao, which hit him in his leg, and distracted Rao long enough because he had every intent of punching Ken's heart out, but instead just gave a little really strong dented push, which would have killed anyone, but...
A delayed release. It's 10 minutes later when he notices he's been punched almost completely through his chest.
Well, I hear taking an arrow to the knee does things to one's adventuring career.
Yes. And that's essentially the episode. And then next time to find out what happens. Oh, I'm sorry.
You left out the important part. Ray's diagnosis. Okay. He has terminal 3 days to live.
Oh, yes.
Listen, this is what happens when you push the secret pressure point, Shinkeshu. It makes all of the blood erupt out from your body, and then you die 3 days from now.
To be fair, that one guy had 7 minutes. 7 seconds. So, these things happen.
But yeah, that's... Oh,
I feel bad. I put in my notes, he has long-term Zappelli's Caesar Zappelli syndrome.
So remember how one of the thesis statements of this podcast was not every anime is DBZ?
I mean, isn't it though? I mean, we are visiting the granddaddy of martial arts anime.
Maybe of anime. I my knowledge of
specifically anime.
This period is super foggy. But yeah, like this is kind of the one you go back to. This is the touchstone. But yeah, just like for everything else that the show has been, like from that first episode, which is like, oh, it's some sort of like, okay, ki is real, acupuncture is real, your meridian star chart of your body is real, okay. But this episode is just like, hey, have you ever been so mad at your brother / rival for the ancient assassination art that your auras clash and create a tornado? It's Looney Tunes nonsense, and it's great. And he's on the horse. He's on the horse.
He's on the horse. Which Kamau?
Kokuo.
Kokuo. Yeah. All right. Some notes about this horse.
Can fly.
Humongous.
Given the right weather conditions. It's clearly made of air.
This horse received its own spin-off manga.
What?
This horse is important. This horse has backstory. My understanding is the backstory is that Rao came across this horse and Rao came across this horse as it was fighting to protect, I believe it's her, fighting to protect her foal from some sort of, bear or something. So the introduction is just horse fights bear and horse wins, although the foal has been far too wounded. So Rao just walks up and it's just like, oh, you are too strong for this sadness, kills the foal, just throws it off a cliff, and it says, you are now free of the burdens of motherhood, you shall become my steed.
If this spinoff is not called Hoof of the North Star, I don't want to know about it.
I forget what it's called, but yeah, so the whole thing is Rao has so also I forgot that he doesn't dismount in this episode, but when he steps off the horse is still taller than him. The seat of the horse is above his head.
So Kokuogo is its full name, which means Black King.
Are you reading what I'm reading?
Wikipedia describes it as an elephant-sized black stallion.
Because Rao is at least 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
And Kokuo's saddle is above 7 feet then.
Well, I mean, what is it? We had that bear-sized tiger earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, elephant horse makes sense.
Oh yeah. But yeah, the whole point is Rao treats this horse with respect and sees this horse as a peer, because his whole thing is I do not dismount from my horse because we are different. You and I are different. I fight from a horse, you fight on the ground. But it's very much this is his skill test. It's just if you cannot show enough power that you can defeat my horse while I'm riding on her, then you are not worth my time. That is this horse is basically a lieutenant for Rao. It's just no. First, if you want to talk to me, you have to go through my horse to prove you're worth my time.
So Rao will just say nay.
Well, Kokuo says nay. Oh my god. But yeah, the only thing that phases the horse, because the horse knows what's going on. Again, the most powerful the most powerful characters in this story are those who have the most empathy and can sense the most of other people's emotions. So when Ken shows up and is pissed, that is the first one to actually make Kokuo scared. But yeah, up in the air fighting. I do want to specifically point out that Ken uses Hokuto Hichishi Shikenzan, the North Star 7 Deaths Cavalry Slash. The Hokuto technique for punching someone off of their horse. The specific technique for that.
Listen, if you're going to teach assassination, you gotta be prepared for all kinds of assassination. I mean, horse assassination seems like a real niche thing, but you never know when you just gotta dismount a fool.
Oh my god. And then Rao lands back on the horse, and the horse lands back on his feet. Just like no one takes a knee in this tornado-located encounter.
That horse has, like, the strongest legs to not even, like, buckle a little bit after that landing. I've gotta give it horse points for that.
Completely unfazed. That's all. I'm just putting that on the table for a little later in this show.
And not to get too silly with this one, but if this horse were somehow turned into glue, would that not be the superest glue? Assuming there were a process strong enough to turn this horse into anything but a horse.
It would be what's the magic card that's like the there's like the one that's the universal solvent that is the one that's like the glue.
The universal adhesive, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
So is this horse the Force?
Of course.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. I was hoping you'd do that. Because this horse would then bind the universe together. It's that powerful.
It's similar to our dear research gremlin. I finished reading all of the wiki on Kukuo, and I need a manga.
Well, Bob, you're in luck. One exists.
Well,
Is it translated to English?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I was asking Joe.
Somebody has translated it.
Somewhere. In a later on episode near the end of the series, Rao does send Kokuo to go pick up Ken and bring him to Rao so that they can have their final battle. So in a way, Kokuo
just like in
well, Kokuo is a bonding agent because he brings the boys together.
Kokuo was setting the groundwork for Funsaiki to run later and drive a boat, start a motorboat on its own to bring Domon Kashu to Master Asia.
I feel like Kokuo would just like walk across the bottom of the water.
I will one-up you on that. I imagine Kokuo would just walk on the water. This may be horse Jesus.
There's... I believe canonically there's only 4 people who have ever been allowed to ride Kokuo by Kokuo.
Yes.
Yep.
Because it is Ken to bring him to Rao. It is Rao. It is a kid from Fist of the North Star 2 who I basically don't consider that show. I don't know. I got opinions about that. I'll get into that later.
Juza.
And Juza. Which Juza steals Kokuo. So
hold on. That horse doesn't go anywhere it doesn't want to go, clearly. How do you steal it?
Well, that's a whole storyline according to the Wikipedia.
Yeah, no,
oh my God.
Honestly, like Juza is like after the Ray stuff, after the Souther stuff, which is the first thing after Ray, I kind of I felt the stories got a little bit weaker, but Juza is a very strong character because his whole thing is like he is like part of the Nanto generals royal guard who kind of like was like, no, I just wanna go off on my own and just have like a nice life. Like he is Juza of the clouds. You cannot control him. He rides on the wind as a cloud would. We're not even going to talk about Fudo the Mountain today, and that makes me sad. But the thing about like Juza is possibly also like one of the most powerful of the generals. So it's like Kokuo respects him enough that it's just like, all right, no, this guy can hang. All right, I'll see you later. And the thing is, like, Juza steals Kokuo out from under Rao. At which point Rao is just like, well, now I have to stand. I will not walk. And basically the next 2 episodes is Juza just gallivanting with Kokuo and Rao just standing there waiting for his horse to come back. He does not move. He just stands.
I don't believe Rao. I think he's atrophied his legs enough. He just can't walk more than like 5-10 feet tops.
So use some of that magic fart and he can get up in the air and go
Well, he requires his brother to be nearby.
You need a lot of leg strength to ride a horse.
I mean, I get it. I get it.
Well,
I realize my statement has a lot of fallacy to it. I still call this bluff.
Sure.
It's there's a lot of good stuff in this show. Like I said, it was really hard for me to pare this down to 4 episodes, and like this is kind of the second time I've made like an abridged Fist of the North Star selection that was basically let's focus on like some high points of Ray's arc. So like, but there is like if these are enough to get you in on it, there is stuff throughout the show that sort of harps on these same like, you know, vibes and tone and same themes of just like, oh, empathy, the strongest protect, not attack, and stuff I don't want to get into for spoilers for this 40-year-old show. Wow.
I'm old.
So,
Not as old as this show, Bob.
anyone who knows anything about the stars may have noticed that the scars on Ken's chest and the things they keep referencing is the Big Dipper.
It's a
Which
major.
does not in fact include the North Star.
Oh, that's right. It's
I did
Ursa
notice
Minor.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
It points to the North Star, but the North Star is actually the tail of the Little Dipper. But yeah, so Hokuto literally means the northern ladle, which is referring to the Dipper constellation. And Toei's proposed localized title for the series was Ken, the Great Bear Fist, which puts a whole other tone on the series.
Yeah, that's
Oh yeah.
that's Ursa Major or Minor. That's totally a different part of the sky.
Yeah, so that's that. That's always in the back of my head when I watch this series, but I don't mind it because the series is awesome and it doesn't really matter. Okay, so the thing about the other star they were seeing.
Well, actually, I just want to point out that there is a later flashback episode to Ryukin where they do explain why, why the assassination art is aligned with the Big Dipper. It's not just used for a name. There is a correlation that makes the art so powerful.
Oh no, I believe that. It's just that it's called Fist of the North Star.
Yeah.
They
So.
translated it as North Star. Okay, but yeah, so the Death Omen star.
Please tell me everything.
Yes, okay. I did this was part of a science project I did in like 8th grade, and it's still in my head because I love star stuff.
Okay.
So the second star from the end of the handle in the Big Dipper is actually 2 stars.
Ooh.
And even in ancient times, it was used as a sort of like eye test, because if you could see 2, like you had really good vision.
Wait, this is based on something real?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There's 2 stars there. There's 2 stars there. Usually what you see is Mitsar, but the Alcor is like a light year behind it, and sometimes you can see it separately.
I wonder how many people died after seeing it.
That part I don't think is historically accurate.
Listen, I can dream. I need there to be a star out there that can literally be called the Death Star.
Well, okay, no, hang on a second, because like if it's a vision test,
Mm-hmm.
and I know this because I have hypertension, but when you have really high blood pressure,
Mm-hmm.
it actually, like, the pressure changes the shape of your eyes and does affect your vision. So if there's something to that where, like, if suddenly your vision gets way better, it could actually be a sign of something going on with, like, blood pressure or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because like normally, you know, vision deteriorates over time. So if it suddenly gets better, that is a sign of something. I don't know what. WebMD. I'll talk to you later.
I need to stand outside tonight when the stars are out for no reason to test, because I too have the hypertension.
But if you want to find the North Star by looking at the Big Dipper, if you look at the 2 at the front of the bowl part, and follow them upwards, quote unquote, from the bowl, they just point like directly at the North Star, which is then the tail of the Little Dipper.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Also, fun fact, the Big Dipper is not a constellation. It's called an asterism because it's part of a constellation, but it's still an identifiable collection of stars.
Oh my god. I love it.
Tell me your opinion of Cassiopeia.
I like Cassiopeia. It's
It's a W.
Yeah, it's a W.
Yep. I mean, you could say Cassiopeia for the win.
Hangs out near Orion.
Wait, is Cassiopeia? Is there any relation to the word name whatever of Cassandra?
Probably, because I mean she's another Greek. She's a princess that got tied to a rock to be fed to the I forget which sea monster.
Kraken.
The Kraken, yeah.
That's one does.
The one you released.
And got rescued by Perseus?
Correct.
Okay, well, I just bring this up because I mentioned we skipped over a prison break arc. It is the prison of Cassandra that they rescue Toki from.
Oh, interesting.
So, okay.
Should be free.
Ken is the Perseus of... I don't know nothing about Perseus.
Oh, sorry. Cassiopeia is the queen. Her daughter Andromeda got tied to the rocks.
And I'm just fact checking myself now on the because Perseus got the Gorgon head to do the thing to the Kraken. Spoilers for an ancient Greek myth.
Got all sorts of
man, I've got to watch that next week.
Had an appointment to get my oral history done.
Yeah, you gotta get your oral history checked every 6 months by your local dentist.
Oh my god, there's some joke with orthodontist oral history no, I don't got it. It's there. You can figure it out on your own, home audience.
Yeah. Do the homework. If you make it, send it to Joe, fill an email address here, and we'll read it on air, live. Because we're live.
deepintheweebs@gmail.com.
Yeah, that is actually it. Yep. You can do that.
Recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Oh, we have a cat.
No, she left.
Oh, okay, never mind.
We had an audience.
Okay, I guess we're in the final thoughts segment of the show now, huh?
Yep.
What else do we want to talk about? Read notes and stuff.
We have to rank the horse. We have to talk about the opening theme song, which fucking rocks.
Yeah, I feel like you're listening to this driving down the highway in a convertible or something with missing a top, like a Jeep maybe, at like full volume as one does, and your hair also just becomes something from the 80s.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the horse first?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Bob, tell us about the horse.
Coco's my new friend. Still does not take number 1, but definitely is a strong number 2.
All right.
Hey.
Silver with the foot on the gold. This horse, and I blame it on Wikipedia. I want to know more about the horse.
Yeah,
of course.
Because
after we all read the spin-off manga, should we just revisit this ranking, see if it bumps her up the one spot?
I mean, is the manga about the horse, or is it just...
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It's a before...
It is a prequel starring the horse.
Okay.
Because Kokua lives in a valley of wild horses. It is the strongest of all the horses. And it has horse friends that fight off tigers.
It's like in Breath of the Wild when you're like walking around. It's like, oh yeah, horses, and then you come across one of the giant Ganondorf horses. It's like, oh, that one.
Oh yeah, that one.
These things isn't like the others.
Oh yeah, Tenno Hao.
So
Conqueror of the Heavens.
Definitely a number 2. We still don't have 10 horses. I think we're at 5 horses now, or 6 horses.
We are 5 horses.
Yep.
With 2 runners up.
One's been knocked off yet, unlike our song list. About this song.
Well, let's see here. 4 references. G Gundam was at 8, or currently sits at 8, and Neo Getter versus Shin Getter currently sits at 6.
For songs?
Yes, for
For
songs.
horses. I don't remember horses in those. So this song, you really like it, Joe?
Yeah. I am a sucker for 80s rock style stuff, so.
So for me, you are super awesome, and I love having you here. And I had such strong Big O vibes from this song. It hurt me so bad.
Oh!
I wanted to sing Big O with it because, let's play the repetition game.
Uh-huh.
I was like, I'm so thankful for skip intro after the first time of listening to it.
Rude.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, just for that, you have to go watch the first episode of DD Fist of the North Star now.
Fist of the North Star.
We'll tell you about it afterwards. It's incredible.
I have to put it in the chat. So anyway, to summarize, we have a 1 through 10 and everything else gets knocked off.
Uh-huh.
I don't think this makes even 10.
Oh no.
Really?
Wow,
Big O
Bob.
This goes below Big O.
Yeah.
Okay, put it right above Big O.
Okay, that puts it at number 9.
Under G Gundam, above Big O. This knocks Yu Yu Hakusho off the list.
I bet you I just.
Wow, let's stay on there a while.
Yeah.
Bob, you're offending people left and right.
I'm sorry. It's like, I don't even remember what they kept saying over and over, and I'm like, I get
shock.
Yeah, it's actually called I Tomodorase, I think. The name of the song, I mean.
Yeah.
The outro was better.
The outro is pretty good too.
The outro is much more like low-key, dramatic, standing on a cliff overlooking the adventure ahead of you or behind you kind of vibes. It's also good.
Mm-hmm.
You a shot.
Yeah, like, I'm not going to hold anyone's music tastes against them. Like, you like
Oh, no, I'm just giving them a hard time.
It's like...
Bob, I am going to make your day, though.
What's that?
Horse manga has a horse anime.
Really?
Really?
Yes, I was looking it up because, you know me, I like to start shopping for Christmas gifts early. I can't find any. It's Legends of the Dark King, a Fist of the North Star story. It has 1 season.
Yes! Oh my god, Horse OVA, Horse OVA!
It has 12 episodes.
Wow. That sounds good. Okay, we got...
I'm trying to find if it's streaming.
Yeah, we got some things to find the availability
there's a lot
this.
of supplementary material for this show.
Yes.
Do not watch the live-action American movie.
Without us there. I do not want to miss that. It's incredible. Yeah, okay, I guess how many stars? What's your ranking, and will you keep watching?
Yeah, how many fists in the North Star?
Out of 7 stars.
Out of 7 stars. I can't say I will continue watching this. That's not a judgment based on the show, because it looks like it has a lot of potential. It's also a lot of investment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, just watch the movie.
The movie. I will probably watch the animated movie because it seems like it's a good show. I have nothing bad to say, and I think your highlights were great. But it also seems like there's a lot of highlights as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's really no downside shows. No. You can skip a lot if you want to follow a certain storyline. If you want to know everything, there's 1 or 2 or 100 and something episodes.
So what is it? Usually it gets listed as like 150 some odd episodes, but only 90 something of them are actual like Fist of the North Star. The other 50 are Fist of the North Star 2, which is like actually a sequel, time skip. There's stuff going on there. Like the story concludes with Rao after 100 some odd. And when I watched through this, I kind of watched it over the course of like 2.5 years or something like that. Like it is kind of like you're saying, like each arc itself it makes a pretty good like self-contained story. And like when I get into watching this show, I am like, it psychs me up, and I can easily watch like 8 at a time, just like, cram and popcorn. This is a good like weekend at home binge watch. But yeah, that being said, you can't do that with the whole series. Like it's actually not bad to do it like an arc at a time. Like, yeah, watch the movie, then watch the Rey stuff, and then, get into Souther and Shu, and then get into meeting Fudo the Mountain and Jews of the Cloud and all of that. Like,
Wait.
Yeah?
Did you just say Jews of the Cloud?
Juza the Cloud.
Juza! Oh,
Yeah.
good. I'm so confused.
Fair enough. But like, so the thing is, like, it is very soap opera-y. Like, especially that first season feels very repetitive, but everything else is just like, yeah, there's an arc. We're following this character. There's a lot of like repetition of information. So if you take a break in between arcs, it's pretty easy to come back and remember what people are about. It breaks pretty cleanly between arcs. They just kind of like move on, like, okay, now the characters are moving on to this part of the adventure, dealing with this other thing. And it's like a good standby to have. It's like a good like rainy day kind of long watch show.
But yes, starting off with the movie would keep it, for me, simpler. See if it hooks.
Definitely. And I'm curious. I haven't actually seen the movie, the animated movie. So the idea of like a condensed version of that first arc sounds super great.
Gotcha.
There's also like I think OVAs that are basically
There's like
chunks of the show.
There's a 3 or 4.
I'd say that's one of them. The Legends of the Dark King that we were referencing previously is one of the OVAs.
Yep.
From 2008.
Yeah. There's Shin Fist of the North Star, which is like a 3 or 4 episode OVA, which is like a little standalone story that I forget where it's supposed to take place in a timeline, but it's like a bottle episode kind of thing. There's DD Fist of the North Star, which is like it's an
AU.
Yeah, it's a Looney Tunes parody of the show. Like this show starts in the year 1990X. The Earth was consumed by nuclear flames. DD Fist of the North Star opens with, in the year 1990X, the world was not engulfed in the flames of nuclear war. It's just like, oh, and it's just watching these doofus meathead brothers trying to live in a normal world. And it's comedy. It's good.
It's very silly.
All right. I am interested in the horse.
Horse is good. Horse is good.
There's also a lot of video games.
Oh yeah. Listen, we can't start talking about that or we'll be here all night. Is it time to talk about what our next show is going to be?
Also a lot of pachinko machines, which you can play in the Yakuza games.
That's true. All right, then let's talk about what we will be watching for our next episode.
Yes, Bob, I will give the audience a peek behind the curtain because it is a certain time of year. I've given you the option to move forward. What's that?
Flag Day?
Flag Day.
Yes, Flag Day. It is Flag Day. You should take pride in your flag. And as such, when you fly your flag in this month of flags, we're going to give you the option, if you choose to go to adjust your statement you first made for this block once you heard the other titles of watching what was going to be your last pick for the season, your save this for last, to maybe move it up to coincide with the rest of this flag month.
American flag?
The show that we gave the tagline, "Be Gay, Revolutionize the World."
Yes.
Are you inferring that I may be gay?
Bob, I would never out you in front of an audience.
Ignore the rainbow that's on my shirt.
We're just saying the month is very gay.
Ah, yes.
You can fly your pride flag.
You do what you want. I'm going to be gay all year.
As you should.
What was the taglines again?
We have Be Gay, Revolutionize the World. And we have, man, remember all those classic robot anime? What if we did those two?
That sounds like a good further on episode. I think in honor of the month of June and Gay Pride. Actually, not just Gay Pride, but Pride for representation of all communities. We'll go with that one.
Heck yeah.
So, Bob, you have chosen, and this is one I've been really looking forward to you watching.
You really?
Because I know I really have. This is one of my personal favorites. This is one of my personal top 10 favorites, top 5 favorites, Bob.
It keeps going up.
So I hear
I know.
top
Well,
three. Top three?
Top 3 favorites.
I gotta really analyze the other 4. This is one of those, it depends on the day of the week kind of brawls that is always going on. But I'm trying to just expound just how important this one is to me. And I want you to know that I really think you'll enjoy this. I'm really hoping you will. Because I know you've heard the name before. I remember even telling you kind of slightly about it.
JoJo.
No. Bob, I'm going to give you a real spoiler. JoJo is not part of season 1. Don't worry about season 2. No, Bob. I have picked for you this title, and you have selected it. It is Revolutionary Girl Utena.
Yay!
I'm happy because I need to watch more of this show. It's really good from the bits I've seen.
It is
Revolutionary Girl. What?
Utena.
Her name is Utena. Utena.
It's what the Jawas say in that scene in Star Wars.
No, they bring up her sister Utini.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Sorry.
Her sister not appearing in the series. And don't worry, Bob. This is, and even for our audience members who might be interested, free on YouTube in both sub and dub.
That's right. This is one that you can and should go watch, honestly.
Yes, Nozomi Entertainment. This is my little plug for them. Right Stuff. Seriously, hit us up. We love you. Nozomi's done a really good job of making a lot of their properties, licenses free online to be viewed, and are continuing to put them out. They have other titles on there that season 2, don't worry about it. We'll get to. Season 2, don't worry about it. Not JoJo's, we'll get to.
Man, why did we even hang up that curtain? We're always showing behind it.
Listen, it's all about the misdirection, because when JoJo's does show up, he'll have thought it was something else, not Dio.
I'm trying to find a person who has my voice. That episode.
Oh, that's okay. We can just use AI.
Whoa, hold on. While I support the development of artificial intelligence, we don't need none of that nonsense in here.
No, because now I'm starting to think of what is the most appropriate show to do a gag where we sub out each of us with a different kind of sound-alike host. That's a good gag.
That'd be
I'm
great.
Writing that down. I'm writing that down for a note. We'll revisit that.
Or completely different people.
Uh-huh.
Oh, when does...
I've had to have watched the anime and everyone's just going to be confused.
When does April Fool's fall on a release day?
Oh, jeez.
We could always just force the issue. We have the power. But yes, Bob, I believe you're in for a treat. But this is Revolutionary Girl Utena. I feel fit very perfectly for this month. And it's the celebration that this month is emblematic of, that should be just part of our daily lives.
And their sword fighting.
There is. There's also tie-in to other well-known anime of the peripheral variety.
You know, I feel like we're having like a microcosm here of my experience with Utena so far, of just like, this show is great. It is extremely like queer gay, and also I have no idea what else to say about it other than we should be excited for it.
Nick, I'm happy you put it that way, because that's essentially how it was pitched to me.
Okay, there you go.
You want in fact, I will tell you the pitch I got, which was, do you want the best representation, especially out of the 90s, or to the point of the 90s, pre-2000s, of non-heteronormative persons in anime? This is for you.
It's kind of oops all disaster lesbians. Okay, but while we think of the best way to introduce the show at the start of the next episode, I'm gonna say let's bring a close to this episode. And thank you once again, everybody, for joining us. And we will see you next time.
Chuck?
Yep.
You're already dead.
The knee?
Deep in the Weebs is a show by Chuck, Nick, Joe, and Bob. Our theme music is Kawaii Friends by C. 3. You can find our show on YouTube, or subscribe to the audio-only version on iTunes or wherever podcasts are served.
I would like each of you to do your best attempt at reading these attack names. Chuck, please try reading this attack name.
So it's Hokuto Shenjukai Ken. Yeah.
Okay. Bob.
Which, but you gotta tell us what that attack was.
No. You should know. Bob, please try pronouncing this attack. Announcing?
Aokoto Ayakuretsuken.
Okay.
Well, that certainly was a choice you made there, Bob.
Joe,
Mm-hmm.
please take your best attempt at this attack name.
Oh my god.
What?
Nanto Kyukyo Kyomi Dankoso Saiken.
Hey, listen, that's a passing grade in my class.